Hey everybody, Dr. Evan Hirsch here, the founder of the Virtual MD Transformation, helping doctors transform from brick and mortar docs to virtual docs. So I'm glad you're here with me today. So today I would like to share with you my 5-step process to make that transformation. So this is what I did, this is what I've helped others do, and so hopefully this is valuable for you. And I've put some worksheets down below to help you get started with this process. And if this sounds interesting to you and you want to jump on a call and see whether or not we'd be a good fit to work together, let me know. There's going to be a link down below that you can go to a page that I have and apply to get on a call with me. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first step of this process is to create your master plan. And so Abraham Lincoln said, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to take the first 4 hours to sharpen the axe. Okay, and this is all about planning. This is where you get successful, okay? So that you're not just shooting in the dark and you're not just trying to figure it out while you're flailing. And so the first thing that you want to do is you want to start visioning. Okay, and you want to be very strategic about this, okay? And so with your visioning, you want to figure out exactly what you like about your brick and mortar and what you don't. So you might be here because you're kind of forced into going virtual because of COVID-19, or you might have been wanting to make this transition, but either way, this information is going to be very pertinent to you. Okay, so looking at I definitely recommend that you use this as an opportunity because we can all make tweaks. Even if you're planning on going back to your brick and mortar, going through this process is going to be incredibly supportive to allowing you to have next level success and next level happiness. I guarantee it. Okay, so that's I digress. So the vision, looking at what you like and what you don't like about your practice and going through what is a perfect day for you. Okay, visioning your perfect day. And so we call this the perfect 10 day or your perfect day. And so this is you waking up in the morning. What time is it? How do you feel? Who's next to you? What's your relationship like? What's the weather outside? You get up. What does your morning look like? Do you immediately start exercising? You're really strong and healthy? Or do you go ahead and you sit and you have breakfast, you interact with your family members? What's your relationship like with your kids? What's your relationship like with your partner? Then you get ready for work. You go to work either in your home or you go outside of the home, whatever you're envisioning. And what does that look like? Who are the people around you? What are the personalities that they have? What are the attitudes that they have? What is the feeling that you have throughout all this? What do you love working with the best? Who's the favorite patient who walks in that door? What if you could have a day with all of your favorite patients? Where you just feel so great about yourself. They're making progress because they're engaged with the work. They're doing the work. You're doing the work. It's very satisfying. What does that look like? How does that feel? How does the flow of your day feel? You're on time throughout your day. You have some nice breaks for, maybe you have a dance break in your office. I always wished that I could do this when I had a brick and mortar. Now I can do it at home, but you have like a dance break where, for 5 minutes, you have a dance break or everybody in the office has a dance break. You have a nice flow to your lunch time. Do you want 2 hours for lunch? You want to go out to lunch with some friends? What does that look like? What does your afternoon look like? And then you're done at the end of the day. You still have a lot of energy. Your mood is great. You feel successful. You were able to provide for your family. You were able to help a lot of people. You were able to support your employees. So it's a good day. And then you come home, you're interacting with your family. Oh, and what time are you coming home? Are you knocking off of work at 3 o'clock? Are you knocking off of work at noon? And you're just working the morning so that you have that whole afternoon to spend with your family or to go play music or to go exercise or go rock climbing or whatever you're passionate about. And then you come home and then you interact with your family again. You do some more education or you learn something or you watch something or you have fun. Whatever it is, what are your hobbies at this time? For me, it's singing, it's playing with my daughter, it's connecting with my wife, and then you go to bed at a reasonable time, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you sleep incredibly well, and then you do it all again the next day. And how many days are you working? So really getting very, very specific about what your vision is for your life, because that's really going to be the only way that you're going to achieve it. So at this point, I would recommend that you really, because we don't know how long or yes, and so I really recommend that you include that as part of your visioning so that COVID-19 is over and you're able to do whatever you want to do with your practice, whether it is brick and mortar or whether it is virtual. But for the sake of this, we are focusing on the virtual and what that practice looks like. And that's what I did. I started off with that visioning. And then I went ahead, and this is the manifestation of my vision. So I wake up in the morning, my wife is there, my daughter's there, I feel great, I have breakfast, shower, exercise, start my day in my home office, and then I go through, I focus on the most important things that I have that day. I'm seeing 9 patients a week. I'm able to cover all of my expenses and take care of my family with the amount that I'm bringing in every month. I'm able to focus on my mission, which we'll talk about more in a second, and a larger vision, and my why I am doing this, why I am a physician, why I want to help people. So figuring out what that is for you is incredibly important. Okay? I also recommend that in this process you think about how to keep it simple. You know, most people when they're visioning are not envisioning an insurance-based practice. You may be envisioning helping a lot of people. There are still people who I see in my virtual practice who were on Medicaid, but I have a sliding scale for them, or I'm seeing them for free because I can do that. Because I have done this visioning and I have figured out how to reverse engineer my life, which we're going to talk about more in a second as well. You know, how many staff members do you have in order to do what you want to do? How much time do you want to spend with your patients or clients? And what do you really love about medicine? You know, and so getting very specific about that. For me, I found that my energy was being taken away by human resource issues, insurance billing issues, in infrastructure issues. So like if there was something wrong with the building and we had to fix the building. So there were all these things. And I was like, okay, well, how do I get rid of all of these things that are sucking my energy away from helping a million people resolve their fatigue? Because I realized that was my mission. So yeah, so what is your mission? So for me, it's helping a million people resolve their fatigue. Okay, because I had fatigue for 5 years. I suffered with it. It was awful, just about ruined my practice, ruined my life, ruined my relationships, and I don't want anybody to suffer like that. Okay, now you don't have to have had the malady in order to have a mission like that. You can say, my mom or my wife or my sister or this patient that I had in medical school changed my life, and I realized that I wanted to focus on thyroid or whatever it is. I wanted to focus on colitis. I wanted to focus on podiatry or whatever it is that you're interested in focusing on. You know, hangnails. Hangnails are really my thing. Candida. You know, so just figuring out what it is and connecting it to your heart and realizing that emotion that really made you want to focus on that thing. And you may not have realized that yet, but I definitely recommend taking the time and figuring out what that is going to be, because that is going to help you with your mission. Like I realized that I couldn't help a million people resolve their fatigue if I'm working one-on-one with people. So then what do I have to do? I have to start working with groups. I have to start working with a course in order to be able to leverage my time in order to be able to help more people. Now granted, I'm also going to make more money and I'm going to work less doing that, but it is feeding this larger vision, okay? So you have to decide what you want to do, and if you want all the advantages of what this looks like when you're moving away from the one-on-ones and doing more groups and leveraging your time and helping more people, then this is a wonderful way of doing it. Figuring out who your ideal client is. So who are those favorite people who walk in the door? What are their characteristics? And I've put a worksheet below to help you with that. Because that's going to be really helpful, because looking at that is going to really help you tailor exactly who your ideal client is, which is an important part of this process, important part of any business's process. So a lot of this comes from the $100,000 that I have spent in the last several years on business and mindset training that has allowed me to be as successful as I am today. So that is all stuff that I'm trying to convey to you today, and also that I talk about in my programs. So figuring out who you want to work with, figuring out what you want your mission to be, and that is really your niche. Niching down. A lot of people believe that when you niche, or when you go more narrowly, that you're going to miss out on a whole bunch of people who can appreciate your services, and that you're going to actually lose out on more money. Now, as functional medicine docs, oftentimes we love being generalists. I love being able to help everything that walked in the door. But when people are Googling, they're Googling, why is my hair falling out? How can this, how do I fix my thyroid? How do I fix my energy? Why am I so tired? Why do I have diarrhea? Right? They're not Googling who's the closest functional medicine doc for me. Oftentimes that's sometimes they're doing that if they've read, some books on functional medicine and then they're going to proceed in that avenue. But they've usually tried a lot of other things first. So if you pop up as somebody who can help resolve diarrhea naturally, bam, that's very exciting to them, and you're going to be the first person that they see, that they're going to place that call to, because they know that you're an expert in this, right? What happens when you're seeing them and they say, should I go see the neurologist? And you're thinking the neurologist is not going to help you with this, okay? I can help you better with this because this is either Lyme or mold or B12 deficiency, whatever the neuropathy is, but they're thinking, oh, neuropathy or something having to do with the nerves, I should see a neurologist. I shouldn't be seeing a GP, a functional doc, a family doc, whatever it is. And so showing them that you are the specialist in this thing engenders a lot of trust, a lot of confidence, and also allows people to find you a lot more easily. So let's talk about reverse engineering your life. So we're still here under the master plan. This is all still step one. So to reverse engineer your life, you need to take a look at how much money you need to thrive every month. How much money do you want to make every month? So I realized for me and my family is that I needed to be making $25,000 a month. Okay? And I think it's like $14,000 of that comes into my pocket. Okay? And that's what I wanted to bring in. So then I reverse engineered. I thought about, okay, how many people do I want to see every week, every month, and for how long? So I wanted to see 3 people a day for 3 days a week. So that's 9 people a week for an hour each day. Okay? So then I figured out that that's essentially 9 times 4, it's actually 4.3, but it's like 36 to 38 people a month. And then I divide that $25,000 by 37 people a month. And then that told me how much I needed to charge per person. Now I have people who see me once a month, and I have people who see me once every 3 months, or every other month, and once every 6 months, and once a year. Okay, so that all has to average out to the number of people that you want to see. So I have 60 some odd people on my panel, but I'm only seeing 38 a month, if that makes sense. So reverse engineering that is incredibly helpful for determining what that paces of your life is and how you can make sure that you are successful. Okay, instead of crossing your fingers and hoping that you hit that number of patients, why don't you reverse engineer your life? Why don't you put everybody on a membership plan? Why don't you create packages and offers so that people are actually paying for the transformation that they're getting and they're not paying per office visit? And then all of a sudden the conversation changes and that they are a lot more successful, you are a lot more financially sustainable, and everybody's a lot happier. Okay? So that's reverse engineering. You can also reverse engineer the emotions of your life, just in terms of your happiness. So what are those things that make you happy? If it's, like for me, it's singing. So it's scheduling those things. If I love to sing and I schedule every single day time to sing, I'm going to be a lot more apt to sing. If I have a goal of singing 5 out of 7 days a week and I mark that on my calendar and I check it off as I go through, I know I'm going to be a lot happier. If I like to play basketball, if it's not scheduled in on my calendar, it's not going to happen, right? So that's what reverse engineering does as well. If you want to have time with the wife or the partner, if you want to have time with your child, you have to schedule it in. And you have to look at, okay, what do I want to accomplish at the end of the month? And build it that way. What do I want to accomplish in 3 months? What do I want to accomplish over the next year? So figuring out exactly what that is can allow you to reverse engineer it so that you are more successful. So now let's talk a little bit about mindset. In order to get through all this, there might be some things that are coming up for you. No, I'll never be able to do that. That sounds like it's too hard. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. There's not enough whatever. And those are all limiting beliefs. And the way that you need to bust through these limiting beliefs, if you really want to achieve over here and you're over here and you're having all of these negative thoughts, all these limiting beliefs, you have to start with gratitude. You have to be grateful for where you're at. You know, there's been research on just 3 gratitudes a day significantly improves your mood and your likelihood to be successful by 60%. Okay, 3 gratitudes. And they can be the same gratitudes every day. So it can be gratitude for your spouse, gratitude for your child, gratitude for your job. That's it. That's all you have to do. But then what ends up happening is that you start looking for gratitudes in everyday life, and you start expressing a lot more gratitudes. And with those gratitudes, you start smashing through those limiting beliefs and start achieving what you want to achieve. The second step of an invincible mindset is really about visioning. So we talked a lot about the visioning. We talked about envisioning your perfect day. And that's really, you know, the brain doesn't know the difference. This is going to sound a little woo-woo, but it is backed up by science. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. In fact, they took accompanists, so people who play piano, and they had them practice with a piano, and they had them practice without a piano, and the same parts of the brain lit up on the functional MRI. Okay? Then the outcomes in terms of their ability to perform were pretty much the same, except for the fact that those who were not practicing on the piano did not have the muscle memory, okay, which is understandable. We also know, you know, how do we feel when we're watching a horror film? I don't watch horror films because it's no good for my adrenals, right? And so we're experiencing that same stuff, and we know physiologically we're experiencing the same thing as if we were in that horror film. Right? This is why I recommend that people take news fast or fast away from news, right? Don't consume news, don't consume anything, don't have stressful interactions after dinner, right? A lot of these things we tell our patients in order to be able to put them into a more parasympathetic state. Okay? So we talked about gratitude, we talked about visioning, creating that vision. And then the last thing is creating empowering beliefs. So looking at what your limiting beliefs are, and you can just Google limiting beliefs, and I'll see if I find a worksheet on this. I can put it down below. You can Google limiting beliefs, and what you want to do is you want to find the ones that are the ones that you actually feel like you have, and then you want to write down the opposite of that, and you want to repeat those every single day. So for me, it was there wasn't enough time, there wasn't enough money, there wasn't enough love. You know, those were some of the big ones that I had. And now I know, because I've said it every single day, life is always working out for me. There is no urgency to everything. Everything works out in its own time. And that there is an infinite wisdom to the universe, and everything is exactly the way that it's supposed to be. So you can come up with whatever you want, but saying those every single day is incredibly powerful. So that is how you develop an amazing mindset that's going to allow you to make any sort of transition you want, and that's going to allow you to achieve everything that you want in life. If you're like, oh my gosh, why haven't I achieved everything that I want in life? Why am I not as successful as I want? Take a look at these limiting beliefs. You know, it's not that you're not working hard enough. I know that you're all working incredibly hard. But there are some barriers that you're having that are not allowing you to achieve what you want. For example, you may not be able and willing to put yourself out there. Excuse me. Maybe you're not willing to do Facebook Lives, and you're just like, oh no, can't go on camera. Maybe you don't want to put yourself on YouTube. Maybe you don't want to make a phone call to a prospective patient and have a conversation with them because that's not the best use of your time. Maybe there's a lot of excuses that are kind of piling up, or beliefs that you have that are limiting your ability to have success. Okay? So that's what this process does, and that's what my programs do. So step 2 is on feasibility and legality. So I know this is really important for a lot of you. And so the question is, with my MD, with my DO, with my DC, whatever it is, how do I practice with this across state lines. Now is a very interesting time with COVID-19, but I am going to propose that this isn't going to last forever, and that you are going to, if you do want to have a virtual practice, you are going to be flexible beyond the COVID-19. Because what's going to happen, I believe, is that after COVID-19 goes away, all of a sudden we're going to have state restrictions again. And the reason why I believe this to be the case is because states make way too much money off of licensure fees. Okay, so we're paying a lot of money to these states, and they're not just going to say, okay, now you can practice across state lines. Okay, I don't think that that's going to happen. We're not going to have a licensure, national licensure for physicians anytime soon, in my opinion, okay, because of the finances of it. Now, virtually, according to your state, this is very important, and it's very easy to find out this information. You just have to contact the right person at the Department of Health. And that's what I did. I was able to call and I was able to get an email. But basically, you're asking for how long can I treat somebody while they're traveling. If I've seen them face-to-face before, in person, in my state, it depends on the state what you're looking at. But if you've seen them face-to-face in person in your state like you did in your brick and mortar, and now you're virtual because of COVID-19 or because they're quote-unquote traveling, or you're not able to see them face-to-face in person, what are the rules around that? Okay, so in Washington State, where I live, if I see somebody face-to-face in person in Washington State, I can continue to prescribe for them until I deem that it's necessary to examine them again because of a change in condition and a change in prescription. Now, most of the time, I don't have to examine them. I can just ask them subjectively. If I do need to see them face-to-face, then I can choose to have an in-person appointment with them. I haven't found a need to do that yet in 2 years. Okay, and so essentially they're traveling. I'm still able to prescribe for them because I saw them face-to-face in person once in Washington State. Okay, so depending on how I want to do this in the future, if you're like, you know what, I want to always be able to prescribe for people, and this is the way that your state is run, and you just need to see them face-to-face in person, then you rent a little space at a WeWork place or at a what's it called? A group place where people are just renting rooms, and once a week or once a month you have your new patient appointments and you bring people in there and you have your first visit in office, in person, in the state that you practice, and then the rest of the time you're doing it all virtual. So there are definitely ways that you can figure this out depending on what you want. For me, I don't want to do that. So in order to practice, and I also want to help 1 million people resolve their fatigue. Right? So I want to practice across state lines. In order to be able to do that, I have also created a practice as a coach. So I have a coaching practice and I have an MD practice, and I am able to have them operate side by side. I have separate agreements with patients and with clients so that I don't get them confused, so the clients don't believe they have a physician-patient relationship with me. So there are definitely ways to do it. I have a great lawyer who set all this up for me, and you just have to make sure that your systems work, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. Okay? So that's feasibility and legalities, figuring out exactly what your state allows, and then legally, what are you allowed to do, and what do you want to do? If you love to prescribe medications and you don't want to give that up, then that's fine. I went through this process where I graduated residency, family medicine, and the first thing that I did was, as I was starting my own practice, I was rounding on my own patients in the hospital. And even if I had just had one person, that was such a headache for me. And then to try to stay up on that, and then also staying up on outpatient. So the first thing that I dropped was inpatient medicine. And then the next thing that I dropped was family medicine. And then the next thing that I dropped was insurance. Slowly getting into functional medicine, and then dropping the generalist in me as a functional medicine provider to functional medicine perspective to fatigue. Okay, so it's figuring out where I want to go based off of what my goals are. Once again, this is reverse engineering. If I want to help 1 million people resolve their fatigue, I can't do it as a family doc rounding on people in the hospital. Right? Now, I didn't know that then, and you keep evolving as you learn more and more about yourself and what you want, but this is the way that you move in that direction. So then step 3 is all about your workflow. So you've got your vision for your practice. Now, what do you want as the workflow in your practice? When I had my brick and mortar, we had people the patient would come in the front door, they'd have a seat in the waiting room, sometimes they would check in with the front desk person, then I would come and I would get them when it was time, I'd bring them back to my office, I would have the appointment with them, and then when I was done, I would hand them back off to the front desk person, and that person would then provide them with supplements, provide them with labs, take any payment that was necessary, as well as schedule them for their follow-up appointment. If you've got an MA, you're going to stick an MA somewhere in that process. But figuring out what that workflow was for your brick and mortar and what it's going to look like now. Okay? So now what ends up happening is that the person clicks on a link from a reminder email that they've gotten from my system. They go into my waiting room in Zoom. When I am done with the previous person, I put them into the waiting room, or they click away, and then I bring that person who was in the waiting room into my room, and we have the visit. And then when I'm done with that, I put them into the waiting room, and I have a supplement store and I have a lab store, and the client will then purchase what they need from those stores, and it comes to their home. Any support that they need in between, they message me through our secure portal. So it's figuring out what that workflow looks like for you. And then going back even further, what does that workflow look like from the moment that they learn about you? First off, how do they learn about you? They go from Googling, how do I get rid of my diarrhea, to finding a website or just a page, just a landing page, which is very easy to create. And as I take people through my programs, I have created a lot of this stuff, and I'm able to share it through my customer resource management, my CRM, or my marketing software. I'm able to share those things with you if that's something that is something that you want. But you create a landing page that says, I specialize in a functional medicine approach to diarrhea, and this is how I do it, and if you're interested, jump on the phone with me. So then they click on that button, it goes to an online scheduling software, and then it schedules with you, and then you get on the phone with them and you take them through a conversation where you see if you're a good fit, and if you're a good fit, you tell them about what you offer. I have this package, and this package. What do you feel like is the best fit for you? Then you set them up on a membership program, so that if you notice, when I was talking about my workflow, I do not collect money like ever, really. I start them off at the beginning when I do that enrollment conversation with somebody, and I say, okay, you want to join? Great. Click on this link, put in your credit card. They put in their credit card, and immediately it starts charging them a monthly fee. It automatically sends them an email where they start filling out their paperwork. Then we have our appointment. Then we have that visit, and then I schedule them for their follow-up. So it is so smooth, and it has removed all of those barriers to their care. It gives them greater connection with me. It doesn't require me to do that much more work. So that is workflow. So taking the time to figure out what you want your workflow to be. And I'm giving you the examples of what I do so that you don't have to recreate the wheel if you don't want to. So I went through that. Okay, great. So then step 4 is to figure out what your systems, your automation, and your workflow is. Once you figure that out, then you can figure out who needs to fit into different components of that. Okay, so what are your systems? So if you have a landing page, where are you hosting that? Is that on WordPress? Is that with Kartra? Is that with Kajabi? Is that ClickFunnels? You have that sort of landing page, and then they click on it, and then what's the next software? Is it a scheduling software like Calendly? I can't think of any of the other ones right now, but there's a number of them that are scheduling softwares. We can also have people fill out questionnaires so that you can discern whether or not they're a good fit for you. And then how do you have that call with them? Is that a phone call? Is that a Google Voice call? Is that a Zoom call? So figuring out, once you know what that workflow is, and then what's your electronic medical record? And then what are you using? Is your electronic medical record going to collect the money and do that monthly fees, or are you going to have additional integrated software collect the money and do that? So it's moving through that process. And then how are people getting those reminder emails? How are you providing education to them in between visits? How are you supporting them with secure messaging? What does that look like? And a lot of this can be done with your electronic medical record, but a lot of it can't. And so you have to figure out what that software is going to be, what those systems are going to be, what that technology is going to be, and then how do you automate it? How do you automate it so you have a predictable flow of new clients that are coming in? And because when we're in functional medicine, we're getting people better all the time. And so then what's that process look like after you get somebody better? What do they graduate to? Do they graduate to a program where you have a visit with them once a year so that you can focus on other things, like you take care of their diarrhea, and now you have an opportunity to make sure that you decrease their risk of having a heart attack, heart disease, stroke, or Alzheimer's? How nice is that if you've got another program that helps people in that regard? Okay, so it's taking them through this process, being able to continue to support them, making sure that you have new people coming in all the time so you have a predictable flow, okay, and keeping it as simple as possible. Okay? So then step 5 of the 5-step process is patient communication, the announcement, and the transition. So at this point, you've kind of discerned, what do you want your ideal practice to look like? Okay? And now you know what you want to tell your current patients. Because maybe you'd love for them all to come with you, maybe you'd love for some of them to come with you, but whatever it is, you're going to have to educate them in several steps about what this looks like, and you're probably going to have to get on the phone with them, or your assistant's going to have to get on the phone with them to help them understand exactly what this practice looks like and how they can fit into this practice. Because you can educate them up the wazoo, but until you get on the phone with them, oftentimes they're not going to understand, and their questions are not going to be answered, and they're going to be overwhelmed, and they're not going to want to go along with it. So that's really important part of this process. So sending emails to patients or clients, former patients, about your plans. Oftentimes they might want to come with you, especially now where they may not have access to their doc, especially having access to a functional doc. I know that you guys are all really desirable in your locations, and now you'll have an opportunity to practice across state lines, as we previously discussed, if that's something that interests you. Picking a date for the transition, lining up the money, so that, because if you were like me, I went from a practice that was bringing in like $135,000 a month, and transitioning then to $25,000 a month, you have to make sure that you're ramping down on a number of these things so that you can make that transition appropriately, and so you're not left with a big loan or in the hole any amount of money. So you do have to do that relatively delicately. And then you make the transition, you throw a big party, and you go off and you enjoy your life, and you do this regularly. You figure out, once again, what's your next step? After this, what do you want to achieve after that? How much money do you want to make a month? How much impact do you want to have? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to reach 1 million people? Do you want to get on Oprah or Dr. Oz or whatever it is? Your vision will constantly change the more that you achieve, and so that's why daily mindset practice is so important. So those are the 5 steps. I hope that this was really helpful for you. Grab those worksheets below. Start filling them out. Start living your dream. And if you'd like my help in it at all and you want to jump on a call and see if we're a good fit together, I just want to provide you a lot of value on that call to help you with next steps. And so if you want to work together at the end of that call, great. If you don't, it's really it's a very low pressure call. Okay, I'm not going to force you into anything. I just want to serve here. So if you're interested, you can click on the link below and apply to get on a call with me, and I'll see you there.